I'd arrest you if I had handcuffs. I'd arrest you if I had the time.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Hope you all had a great week and have some awesome plans for the weekend. It's Pride here in San Diego, so if you guys are headed to either the Trans Festival Pride March thing today, Friday, noon to 6-ish, and then I think we're marching to the flagpole, or on Saturday, the parade starts at 11 and I'll definitely be there. The festival is kind of up in the air for us right now, so yeah, let's get into this week's topic. Alright, so this week's topic is our first gender therapy session. Just to give you kind of a background on how my process went about, I didn't go to a therapist before I got on hormones. There was a local clinic in my area that I went to probably from about early January 2008, and then I started hormones in July 2008. I had to go to like the center and talk with their coordinator there, who gave me a reference to this person, who gave me a reference to that person, and I eventually ended up at a thing called the Tuesday Night Clinic, and I met with the doctor. They gave me like a piece of paper to fill out for a 5-year plan that I was supposed to bring back on my next appointment. Go back on my next appointment. We discussed everything on my 5-year plan. Got my prescription for testosterone. Went back a week later and got my first injection. So I didn't need a therapist letter to get on my hormones initially, but going forward, if you want to go through any surgeries or name changes or things like that, you need the letter from a therapist to kind of basically give you the okay to go forward. I'm not too keen on basically someone telling me that I'm sane enough to do what I want with myself, but that's just how the process works. So my gender therapist name is Darlene Tando. I'll leave a link below to her website. She is mostly a children's therapist for kids questioning gender, and a transgender therapist, I guess. I'm not sure if she does any other work, but most of the work that she posts or does speakings on and stuff like that is all related to gender therapy. So that's really awesome. I know she's been to Gender Odyssey in the Pacific Northwest a few times, so she's definitely a positive part of our community, which I really like. So I started seeing her, I was probably 3 or 4 years on T already, but kind of getting in the serious steps to get my top surgery, and you need usually a letter from a therapist for top surgery. There's a few that out there that don't require it, but I wanted to go to Garamoni, and that's one of the things that he required. So I started going to her mostly for that. I didn't feel like I needed help, and I had a really bad experience growing up with therapists, so I looked at therapy in a really negative way. When I was growing up, my stepmom wanted me to join the military, so instead of sending me to a therapist, we went to a family counselor, so that way it didn't look bad on my medical record that I had gone to a therapist before I tried to join the military. Anyway, that guy was a hot mess, and I basically, for family therapy, would get dropped off by myself, left there for an hour and a half, and then picked back up later that day. I don't really recall anything that I ever talked to him about. It would be interesting to get his, like, my records from him, or whatever you want to call it, and see, like, how our sessions were back then, because this was my, like, junior and senior year of high school, I believe. So, anyway, back to my current gender therapy. So, when I first went to Darlene, I was really uncomfortable. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I thought that I could deal with my shit on my own. I didn't need help from anyone. But it was nice to just have someone there to listen. Have someone there who didn't know anyone I was talking about, if I was having like a bad day or a personal issue. who didn't already have prejudgment about me, who didn't know me as female. So it's just nice to be accepted for me and have someone listen. And I feel like a therapist's job isn't so much to tell you what to do, but to get you to figure out and think more broadly about what you can do for yourself. I have a lot of issues still around my dad and that whole issue, because we were really close growing up, and now I don't talk to him at all. So she definitely helped me kind of cope with that and accept that, and I feel like since then overall I've been a happier person. So I'm really thankful that I took the time to do the therapy sessions, but most of them weren't even like discussing my gender or anything like that, because like I said, I had already been on testosterone for almost 4 years, so I had been living the role as male and all of that requirement or whatever, that you're supposed to like live 1 year as your preferred gender before you're allowed to go forward with certain parts of the process, at least in my area. So yeah, when I got Kaiser, and I was trying to get my histo covered with them, I had to go to, I had to go to therapy again, because my therapist originally wasn't in the Kaiser network, and because I had that coverage now, I had to have a Kaiser approved therapist say going forward that I was mentally sane and understood the decisions that I was making for myself, going forward with my histo, since it would be taking out all of my reproductive organs and I'd basically become sterile. They make you like sign a piece of paper saying that you realize that you're taking away your opportunity to have kids and all this kind of stuff. It was pretty intense to have that kind of a sit down, because it's maybe not necessarily something you're thinking about, especially towards the beginning of your transition. You're like, I just want this stuff out. I don't want to deal with Shark Week. I don't want to deal with cramps. I don't want to deal with the battle of the testosterone and the estrogen. But obviously there's other effects that are going to happen once you have a hysterectomy. So I had to like discuss those basically with a person beforehand. I definitely was a little more taken back by the process with Kaiser, because it was definitely treated more as like a mental health issue, from the initial paperwork that I had to fill out to the questions that I had in the actual session with the person. And I only had one session with the head of the department, and then one other session with the guy who was apparently my caseworker. And after those 2 sessions, I had my approval for my hysterectomy. So it wasn't that tedious, but again, it was because I was already on hormones for about 6 years at that time, so there wasn't too much question on if I was sure or not, or if I was comfortable with the decisions I was making. I kind of already lived my life 100% male, so it wasn't really a factor in my case. If you guys have any questions for me or my process, please feel free to comment below or message us on Tumblr. I won't be posting as frequently as I have been on Fridays. I'm kind of taking a little hiatus, and the guys are looking for another full-time person to fill my spot and a couple more spots. So make sure you get your audition videos in, because they're placing their votes on who they want to fill what spots pretty quickly. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Catch me at Pride.